Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Ace Combat reaction. Today we have Archange. I've already done a video on Soul Squadron, so if you haven't seen that one, go watch that first, because apparently Archange is like part 2 in a way. They at least share similarities according to Spinrift, who is the one that requested this in the queue from Patreon. So here we are, going to be listening to this, getting part 2 done, and I guess without further ado, let's go! I did just re-listen to Soul Squadron 2, so I'm all fresh on that. So far, very similar in the vocals, if not the exact same. I'm surprised how soft this is for this long. Oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be at all. Oh, no. Oh, the whole context just washed over me. I thought this was going to be... Oh, it might still be an energetic build on the other. That was almost funeral procession there. That's what scared me. Ooh. It's just boiling. Biding its time like crazy. Let bro cook, I guess. I didn't think we were going to be getting this energy back after that intro. So far, it's still way more subdued than I thought. God, they're still building. Where else can you take this? Oh! Again, not what I thought this was going to be at all. This got intense in an entirely different way. There's a definite similarity to the other one. Great payoff there. Yeah, this changed my perspective entirely. Their relationship is completely different from what I expected. Well, maybe not completely different, but definitely not what I thought at first. Well, that just goes to show that you need all the information in order to make a proper assessment of a situation. So what's throwing me about this song is, again, I expected something entirely different. I thought that Soul Squadron was going to be like a build-up. Like, in general, it built up that entire time in Soul Squadron, and it did have like a big energy at the end, which then died off. And I thought that was going to be the beginning to another section of this song. Like, it was just going to feed right into it. It didn't do that at all. That was just me assuming what I could with only half of the information. But if these two are truly back-to-back with Soul Squadron first and Archange second, that changes my perspective of what's happening here entirely. I think now Soul Squadron is basically like the fight, and then Archange is basically the theme of death almost. There was like that moment at the very beginning where it sounded like very funeral procession-y, and I was like, oh no, this is getting insane. And then the energy got even darker. It stayed cinematic, it stayed kind of epic, but that entire beginning basically was just like death coming for you. And I feel like that might be the turning point that I was missing here. So if Soul Squadron was the fight and Archange is basically the aftermath, I would assume you're still in the fight. You just think that Soul Squadron is it. Like, that's kind of the, okay, let's get this started. This is round one. Round two is when things get serious. I don't think I was entirely off on that. It was just a tonal shift. It was, okay, let's do this. Let's kick some ass. I'm no longer playing around, bitch. And I was expecting more, let's kick some ass. Let's kick some ass. Like, just putting extra energy on there. And it was going to be basically the same thing with some other instrumental changes, you know, like the usual, keep lifting up, keep building that energy. But it didn't necessarily do that. It stayed very steady throughout this entire song. It took forever to build it up. And then once it got up there, it plateaued on the energy. It's like somebody got tired almost. It was like they were trying to swell this energy. They were trying to build up more than they could actually muster. So when it got to that final bit where I'm like, oh, here it comes, and then it just kind of, it just stayed there. I'm like, whoa, okay. So it didn't necessarily get as high as I was expecting it to. I feel like at this point, the person that you're fighting is just tired, you know? Like, it just feels like exhaustion. But also, I feel like that death energy was definitely there. It was almost like they suddenly realized you were a threat, and it's just like, sure, okay, that's an average thing for a boss, you know? It's somebody who's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm about to lose. Time to kick it into high gear and actually kick this player's ass. And that's where it's like, oh, now it's super intense. It sounds like a death march. That's not good for you, the player. Awesome. But then it just kind of couldn't get up to where it needed to be to match that energy of the first one. So again, that changes my entire perspective of this being a big second try, you know, like a whole second breath. You get that second wave of energy after the first one, and you're like, let's do this. And this is more somebody who's kind of got everything to lose at this point. I feel like this is exhaustion manifest from somebody who's probably better than you, objectively maybe, and it's like, okay, shit, I can't do this. Like, the energy of the song plateaued so hard from where I thought it was going to be that I'm like, okay, this must be like somebody comparatively aged to you. This sounds like somebody who's been around for a while and has that experience, but just does not have the metal to match it anymore. And you, the younger, more experienced one comparatively, is just like, okay, let's handle this. And you both kind of match at some frequency, and that's kind of where the song plateaus, and it carries that through pretty much all the way to the end. It doesn't even really stop the song, it just kind of fades out, which is fairly common, especially if they're going to be looping the fight for whatever reason. If the player needs more time, that's pretty common. But overall, it just feels like whoever you're fighting here isn't what I thought with, oh shit, they're going to kill me, and more of an, oh, okay, Grandpa's getting old, Grandpa's getting tired, but let's give him one hell of a fight regardless, you know? I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is. That feels right just based on the music. I wouldn't be entirely shocked if it's somewhere in that ballpark, but I'm more thrown still that I'm completely wrong from my assumption in the first one. But that might just be because I'm so used to hearing these songs continue building until you get to that level. But those, I assume, are usually more active missions, stuff you're doing yourself, and the enemy isn't necessarily one person and more a collective of people, and there's always a bigger threat there. I don't know much about Ace Combat. I've not really dug into that side of gaming in general, but I understand the concept of like, you're facing one person or you're facing a group of people, being a completely different sound and scale in music and how that's manifested in sound. So I think that's kind of the case here. This feels a lot less now like, oh shit, I'm about to die, and more like, oh, well, this was a good training session at least. Still did a lot. I don't necessarily think it's a training session, mind you. I'm gonna go with probably that experience versus inexperience situation where like this older dude's basically trying to show you up like, I've still got it, I'm gonna kick your ass. He's kind of a dick and you're kind of like, you know what? I need to kick your ass. You need to be shown who's boss here now, old man. And you end up doing that. And he's just like, oh God, I'm getting too old for this shit. Maybe they retire after or something. I wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape, or form here, but it definitely doesn't have the scale of something like Daredevil that's a lot more energetic basically all the way through, has this epic consistency all the way through it. This just feels like somebody who wanted to fight you, was doing really good, but cannot stay the course for as long as you can. That longevity is very important, and you don't have it anymore, you know? So I think that's about all I gotta say on this one though, so I'll stop yapping here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you have something else you want me to get to from Ace Combat or Project Wingman even, leave it in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if like Spinriff did, you want to guarantee that I listen to something, you can go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships. There's a tier that will guarantee that I listen to whatever you got. I don't care how good it is, how bad it is, or what it's from. It can be anything, and I will give it a whole video just because it's a guaranteed request. That's why they're there. But otherwise, if you just want to follow me and support me for other stuff in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!